When you go to McDonald's in other countries, they may have other meat options because that's what fits that culture. That's what fits that demographic. That's what is allowed in that country, right? But if you get some French fries, it's going to taste the same as if you got French fries in America, right? They have a uniqueness about their ingredients. They have a uniqueness about the way they cook their things. They have a uniqueness about what they offer. Sure, we can go to Burger King and get a burger, but Burger King has its own uniqueness, right? They have charbroiled burgers instead of fried, whatever McDonald's does, right? Carl's Jr.'s, you go there, you may pay $13 for a meal nowadays, but you're going to get probably more food than you would get at McDonald's or Burger King potentially, right? Because their burgers seem to be a little bit bigger or their sandwiches are a little bit fuller, right? You get a little more meat for the price. So everybody has their established brands, but they're also established in different ways. There's things that each one offers that sets them apart from the next. Starbucks, when we look at the logo, most of us identify exactly what it is. If we just see this picture, if we see the name Starbucks, we automatically identify what it is and what they serve and who they serve, right? Starbucks is like everywhere. Oh my gosh, they're like the McDonald's of coffee houses, right? They are in their own little storefronts, but they're also inside of other establishments as well. They sell their coffee packaged in Safeway and different grocery stores. They sell pods to go with the Keurigs. I mean, there's like Starbucks has created something for everybody's needs, right? If you wanted strong coffee, you can get all the shots you need to get. You can purchase them, put them in your coffee. You can get a consistent taste typically of at least the basic coffee. Now the mixed drinks may be different based on whoever makes it, but at least like your Pikes is going to be Pikes, right? Your blonde roast is going to be your blonde roast. You're going to, your taste, what you're going after and what you're assuming you're going to get when you go to Starbucks. That's all a part of their brand. That's all a part of building the uniqueness that they offer in the midst of their competitors even, right? In Sacramento, some of the competitors would be like Temple Coffee. They have a couple of locations, but they are unique in their own right because they are coffee roasters, right? They actually have like a roasting whole thing like downtown Sacramento. So not only are they competitors for coffee, but if someone wants to go and get some unique types of coffee, some coffees from Ethiopia and other places in Africa and Guatemala and Brazil, and or if you want to get some different types of teas that are unique to where we are here or unique to has certain attributes and characteristics, Temple has that versus what Starbucks may be offering, right? So there's a market for everyone and everyone is targeting different people, different segments, but their identity is proving who they are. It's showing up, it's representing consistently who they are. When we go into Starbucks or go through the drive-through, usually there's someone really pleasant on the other end. So it's kind of to be expected with any Starbucks. And when you don't have that experience, guess what? It's you don't expect that, right? You don't expect a different experience when you go. And so branding is more wrapped up in your full identity. What is it about you that you're bringing to the table? It's your full identity of who you are, what you offer, and are you offering this consistently or are you offering just one of a kinds every single time, which can also be your brand. It's what you do, right? And so Target, we look at that. Target is identified by the name as, a big box variety store. They have clothes, they have shoes, they have a little bit of everything. They have food, they have, pharmacy, they have all kinds of stuff. You go to Super Target, well, it used to be called Super Target. Now it seems like most Targets have groceries. Not just like basic food, but like you can get produce and things like that from there, meats, which is similar to like your Walmarts, right? Most Walmarts now have some level of produce, some level of meats that you can buy out of the freezer section, but they're different, right? Walmart's different than Target. Walmart is a little bit cheaper than Target. We talked about that on Tuesday. Target has their own brands within their brand, right? They have their own designers within their brand for their clothing that they sell. They have their own brands of TVs that you can purchase which are typically cheaper than purchasing a Samsung or purchasing, a Vizio or something like that. Walmart does the same thing. They have their own brands of TVs. They have their own sub brand. Target has its own brand of like food, right? They have their own branded bread, their own branded food with their logo and things on it. Walmart has the same thing. What differentiates them? What makes them stand out from each other? Target is preferred sometimes over Walmart. Walmart is preferred sometimes over Target. I believe Walmart was the ones that started doing the pickup thing first, right? Target came second. Or maybe they started at the same time, who knows? But they have a lot of similar attributes and similar characteristics, but somehow they're both very profitable. They both have loyal customers. They both have people who are consistently coming back for some purpose or other, and they both have people who prefer one over the other. It all has to do with their brand. It has to do with that consistent stance, that consistent identity out there in the marketplace. So when we talk about branding and brand equity is simply how your customers view you, your brand. What is it that they're actually getting from you, right? So underneath your entire brand, as we can see here in this chart, underneath your brand is you have your logo, you have your value. What value are you bringing to the table? And we talked about that on Tuesday as well. What value are you creating for others, right? What value are you even creating for yourself? Because that's something to be evaluated when we're talking about what we look like out there in the marketplace. Trust. Can people trust you? That all goes into your brand. If you are, during COVID-19 and you're known as the one that's has the most expensive prices and people need your help and they could definitely utilize your help, but they just can't afford your help, but you're consistently out of the kind of price bucket or something like that, or maybe you're consistently the low price leader, or maybe you're somewhere in between. Maybe every other day you have a different price on all your things and go back and forth. How do we build trust? How do we build loyalty? How do we build our customer base, right? Are we really doing what we advertise and what we say that we're out there doing? If I am, McDonald's and I'm advertising all these like great things and my French fries and things like that, the one time that I start, doing construction and my name is McDonald's Restaurants, that's not doing what my name says. That's not doing what my historical brand has done, right? And so it will look different. It may look like misrepresentation, something like that. These are all things that people pay attention to. They really do. They pay attention to. Can I trust that when I come to you, I'm going to get quality service? Can I trust that when I come to get, my hair done, that when I leave, my hair is not going to just like fall out because something went wrong. And maybe it was falling out while my hair was getting done and nobody said anything, right? Like, we have to be able to trust those who we are supporting, those who we are purchasing from, those who we are in business with. We have to also have just a trustworthy brand. Integrity goes a long way. If we are always operating outside of the line of ethics or outside of the lines of integrity, that follows us. People remember those things. If we always are, cutting here and there, robbing Peter to pay Paul, or ripping people off or manipulating people with our sales strategies and things like that, it creates a lack of trust and it's easy for people to go elsewhere. And when we do that, all of this determines and kind of creates our identity. What are other people saying about us? What are people out there in the streets saying about our organizations? Do they even know about our organizations first, right? Do they even know that we are out there doing what we're doing? Do they know that we're out there providing specific services? I know someone that's been on these tap workshops is an optometrist. I didn't know there was, that he was located. I didn't know what he did, but I didn't know he was located down on K Street. And I'm sure a lot of people didn't know, right? Great avenue for networking and sharing what we do, but we have to utilize marketing. That's a part of our brand. We have to utilize those strategies one way or the other. We have to have a strategy to utilize. We have to have a workflow, a design, something that's going to help us, give us this easy walking path along the way. But we also, with our design, we have to keep in mind that if COVID hasn't taught us anything else, it has surely taught us that we have to have the ability to be flexible in our design, right? And so if we are stuck to just this one way, and this is my plan, and this is what I've been doing for 35 years, and I'm not going to do anything different, then that could have some negative impacts on your business, right? Or on your identity, even. Because people could say, well, how come everybody else in this industry is doing this and you're still doing this from, what you've been doing for the last 50 years or whatever, and how you've been doing it. I know some people that I'm a licensed insurance agent, and I have one of my clients that told me they've been an insurance agent as well with having their own agency. And they've been in that for 60 years, 60 years. He is an older gentleman, and he told me that he was really upset because his children told him that he needed to get a website. And I asked him, why wouldn't you want to get a website? And he said he doesn't need one. He has not lost customers. He said he felt like he has loyal customers that have been with him throughout the years. But guess what? Things are changing. People are dropping their insurance. People don't feel the need for insurance. They're lowering their coverages, which is dropping premiums, which is dropping commissions, right? So really things are changing. And if we're not flexible in our design and having the ability to pivot in ways that actually benefit us, if we're not open-minded in those ways, it could create some additional harms for us, right? And so eventually, he ended up getting a website, just a landing page, nothing extravagant, but just a landing page. And he saw a 30% increase in new clients, just simply because he had a website. And that was just customers who came in through the website that called, or that did a chat online that said, hey, I reviewed your website and I have some questions, or I want to purchase some coverage, things like that, right? These things can help us when we're open-minded and we're flexible and we're trying to, pivot and stay on top of things regularly while still maintaining our consistency out there in the marketplace. Strategy is key, and we're going to get to that. And then, of course, advertising. How are we going to do that, right? How are we going to do advertising? How are we going to advertise our name? We're going to have a name logo. Are we going to have an image logo? Are we going to have both all in the same thing? Is it going to be a once and done type of thing with it's a name and the image in the same logo? How are we going to do that? What colors are we going to use? What ways are we going to advertise, and what ways are we going to advertise consistently? What's the easiest thing for us to do to advertise our business at least 3 days a week, right? Some people use social media for that because it's easier. They're always on their phones or they're always on their computers, and so they can easily access their social media accounts and do some posts regularly. Or maybe their thing is having, postcards or mailers that are sent out throughout the mail to get some leads coming in. Maybe that's the thing that helps them to advertise. But either way, in your advertisements, we look for who you are, what you have to offer, right? What does it look like? I mean, is it something that's eye-catching? Is it something that's, going to draw me to your business, where I could go over here, but instead I choose to go to you? Or is it something that is just not really, what I want to purchase from? In that, we talk about lines. And I know on Tuesday, somebody asked about like expansion or, growing their business and things like that. In branding, there's such a thing called line extensions, and we see that on this chart. And then there's another thing called brand extensions, right? And so these are established brands who are ready to go to the next level. So if you have a brand that is already established out there, like the example of the insurance agency, they're an established brand, right? They're out there, they've been there for 60 years. The majority of their income comes from their loyal customers over the last X amount of years. But what do we do next, right? Is there another line that we can offer? Because in insurance, there's multiple different lines of coverage, right? There's not just homes and renters and auto and things like that. There's multiple lines. Do we get into offering something else within that same kind of category? Or do we extend ourselves into consulting from selling, right? So not only am I just selling insurance, but now I'm going to actually become a consultant for risk management because I know about losses and claims and, whatever else, right? So these are what we think of. These are examples of how to utilize line extensions versus brand extensions when you're ready, right? Everybody's not ready to start expanding. We have to know when we're ready and expand when we're ready, because we could expand as an experiment and it could potentially fail. But if we don't expand expecting it to just be an experiment or a trial period or have a focus group to give us some feedback on it, then it could be pretty detrimental to our business if we put all of our eggs in that one basket, right? So in this image here, you see Coke. And as we know, if anybody is a Coke drinker, I personally prefer Coke over Pepsi. That's just me. But if anybody is a Coke drinker, you know that Coke has multiple different types of drinks, but they're drinks, right? So the category is drinks. Category is beverages. Under that category of beverages, you have sodas, you have flavored waters, you have juices, you have like all these things that are under the umbrella of Coca-Cola. Now, when you talk about brand extensions, you have Coca-Cola, the beverages, and then under the parent company, you have a whole new line, a whole new brand of products, right? So nobody really associates the fact that Coca-Cola would sell Dove soap, right? What does that have to do with each other? It doesn't. It doesn't have anything to do with, one doesn't have anything to do with the other at all. It's just an opportunity to extend themselves and expand themselves into a realm that most people won't even know about, right? Most people won't know that the parent company of Coke owns Dove, right? Why would Coke be selling deodorant and lotion and face wash and things of that nature, right? It's kind of strange. But that's the name of the game when we come to branding. The important thing is that Coke is an established brand itself. So whatever lines they create, they may experiment with them, they may work, they may not work. But at the end of the day, fundamentally, the foundations of Coke is going to be those ingredients that make it what it is. Now, they have other brands out there that mimic Coke. You have RC Cola, you have Shasta Cola, you have like all these other colas. But for some reason or another, Coke is Coke, and Coke is, that's what it is. And then when they get into their next brand, so brand number 2, Dove. Dove is very successful. It's a very successful product line as well. But Coke had to be ready to expand, right? They couldn't just day one say, we want to launch out with this, 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 and this in all these different industries and all these different things. And it become very overwhelming for themselves that they end up retracting, right? Instead of moving forward, they see themselves moving backwards. So the goal is expand when we're ready. So also in branding, we talk about product strategies. How is it that we are going to get our products out there successfully? This strategy rolls up into development of our overarching identity. So when people look at us, when we go back to the brand equity, when they look at us, they should be able to tell that there was some thought behind whatever it is that we have put out there, right? So whatever our services are, whatever our products are, people and customers should feel like, potential customers, they should feel like, wow, like there was really something behind this. Like, somebody actually considered this or considered that. Their mission is awesome. We hear that all the time. When people say, man, I just love your mission. I love it. I love your goals. I believe in what you're doing. I believe in, what you guys are, the work that's being done out there. They also are subconsciously usually thinking like, wow, like there was some work that went behind this, right? The work that goes behind building a successful brand is strategy. How are you going to do it, right? You can't do it by yourself. But it's hard. It's hard out there to try to do things by yourself. We all are hopefully blessed with knowing somebody, at least one other person that we can go to and include and run things by, something like a coach, a mentor, a consultant, somebody that we can just run things by and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking and this is how I'm thinking about it. What do you think? That's a part of strategy, right? Not including just me, but as you can see in the diagram, strategy includes people. It includes vision. It includes ideas. It includes money. It does. It includes partnerships, maybe. Partnerships aren't for everybody, and it may not be necessary in every case. But if partnerships can work for your business, that surely is a great way to go. You could have partnerships of any kind, really. There's all kinds of community partnerships. There are other types of partnerships that you can do with others, you know. I think of a lot of, well, what used to be pre-COVID, you know, you would have community events, community fundraisers, or you would have outreach events where, you know, maybe there's an organization going out and having a free event in the park and they want to bring out some dentists or, you know, some people who are specialists in their field to check blood pressures, and, you know, maybe it's a health event or something like that. That's a great way to strategize, right? That's a great thing to include in your strategy of advertising. How are we going to get our business out there? So if I come to your free event for the community, I may gain some new customers. I may gain some potential future customers, right? What is the goal? In strategy, we have to know what our underlying goal is. What is our goal ultimately? What is our short-term goal? And what is our long-term goal? When we actually strategize and have, you know, maybe like a vision planning sessions or vision board sessions also help us bring those ideas out as well. When we strategize and we put the work in to plan these things out, it may not go according to plan all the time, but at least you have something to go back to. Even if you have to, you know, scrap everything and start at zero, fundamentally, you have a goal in mind. And in order to reach that goal, you know that you have to have a path in place. And on that path comes money, comes people, comes partnerships, comes whatever it is, marketing, advertising. What is my logo going to look like? Is my logo really going to represent what I'm actually doing, or is it going to be different from what I'm doing? I had a social media content person review my brand, and she's actually going to be teaching a content class December 21st. But hey, she does this thing called a social media audit of your brand. And when she did an audit of my brand, of my education group, her feedback to me was, and I wasn't offended because I know I'm not on social media like that. I don't utilize it probably to the best of my abilities that I probably could, to where it can benefit me greatly. But the first thing she says is, I looked at your social media pages and I can't figure out exactly what you do. And I'm like, what? How is that possible? She's like, you didn't even put a bio at minimum. That's all a part of building our identity, right? The bio, which is short, is probably limited to so many characters on social media. But if we don't even take the time to have that, what is that saying about who we are? It could say many things, right? It doesn't have to say anything bad, but our customers, remember that brand equity, what they view us as. If somebody's going to our websites, going to our social media pages, and they can't figure out what we do, that causes us to maybe want to start rethinking some things regarding how we are getting out there to marketplace, what we look like and what our brand actually looks like, and what they're saying about our brand.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
The
It sounds like some people are on, can you all mute? Okay, so once we get past strategy, we have to know also, what is it that we are putting out there? Are we putting out there tangible goods, which are called products, or intangible goods, which are services? Or are we doing both, right? Very key thing, especially when you're completing your business plan, you're writing your business plans and things like that. It's very important to note, are you providing services or are you providing products, or are you providing both? Are you a restaurant that offers, you know, food services and also offers cookbooks or, you know, some other sort of product? What is it that you actually have out there? We have to know what it is that we do, who it is that we serve, and what it is that we have out there in the marketplace, because again, this all rolls up into the identity of our brand. And then of course, we have to know that everything has a time and a season, right? We have product life cycles, and it's just like our individual lives, like our personal lives, right? You have your baby stage, your introduction. In this baby stage is really foundational. You know, we may be learning a lot, just starting out. We may grow fast, we may grow small. You know, a lot of things can happen in this stage, but this is really like the nurturing stage. This is where we're paying attention like nobody's business, to our finances, to everything that we do, right? And then as we grow and mature a little bit, and our business starts to go a little bit higher, sometimes we don't pay as much attention because maybe we've now hired someone else to pay attention to our finances. And so we don't pay so close, right? We only get the report every quarter or the report every month or something like that. But in this stage, in this growth stage, we're growing, and we're growing pretty well to where we're kind of pleased with our growth, right? But we're also starting to think about what's next. What's next for our products? What's next for our services? What is next for our brand? Do we extend our brand in another way? Do we create a new brand that is associated or affiliated with our brand, but just something brand new to where people don't even know it's us? How do we do this? And what do we do now? This is where you start thinking about those things. Maternity is also known as the maturity stage. This is where you're ready. You're ready to give birth to some new idea. You're ready to, start thinking about those next stages in life. You're ready to start thinking about taking care of, something else. You're ready. You feel pretty successful about what's been done in the past. You've had your growth stages. You've hit your head a couple times. You've learned from it. You've bounced back, and now we are going to birth something else. Maybe we are that restaurant, and now we want to birth out in the frozen food section in the grocery store. We want to get our products in there. Great idea. How are we going to do that? This is the stage where we really start thinking about that. And then the one stage that most people don't really think about is the decline stage. There comes a time where we just sometimes our businesses start to decline, and either that's because of the inability to continue the service or continue the products, maybe the inability to have the tools and the resources that we need to keep going, maybe the inability to have that we just didn't have a succession plan in place, and so maybe the owner of the business has passed on, and nobody was there capable or able or ready to go to pick it up and carry it on. This is the stage that is really important. Also, sometimes we are so successful in our businesses that it just, it's time to retire. It's not necessarily a decline for bad reasons, right? It's just time to retire. Just want to go live whatever days we have left and years and months we got left to go travel and live our lives in the world, because we've owned this successful business for 60 years. What are we going to do? Are we going to sell it? Are we going to get a new president? Are we going to, what are we going to do with the business? Where does it go? Do we let it just die out? Or do we let it go to wherever stage is going to go, change leadership, and let them take it to the next level? These are some things to think about. How are we going to handle? What does our succession planning look like? What does our recovery planning look like now that we've all been experienced in a pandemic? That has hopefully taught us that we need to have some sort of a recovery plan in place as well. Maybe we need to have a rainy day fund over here. Maybe we need to have, some connections with some business consultants, some financial analysts, or, some different things like that, to where, there's not 1,000% dependability on this one thing, but maybe we can, spread that a little bit and make money here, here, and here. How are we going to do what we need to do, and how are we going to be successful until it's either time to expand, time to go to the next level, or it's time to just retire out, just go live our lives? Now, that is the end of the presentation. Are there any questions at all? Any questions?
Nope, you covered it.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions about their actual business brand? What it is that you do? Anyone looking for tips on building that brand, expanding that brand?
Danae, I have a question. I didn't quite get all the information. I was looking for my notepad. The difference between the line extension versus the brand extensions.
Yes, sure. Let me go back to that slide. So the line extensions are simply, you already have an established product, right? So
Okay.
say you have soda beverages, right? Now you've had success with this one product in this line of beverages. Now you're ready to try something else in the same line, which is beverages. So maybe you want to now go from sodas to energy drinks, or go from sodas to flavored waters, or go from sodas to juice, right? 100% juices, or some sort of diet juice that doesn't have all the sugars and things like that, right? You're still in the same line. You're still in the line of beverages. The category has not changed. You're still in the line of beverages. When you look at a brand extension, you're no longer in the same line. You're no longer in the beverages category. You're now branding something else. So you're in a new category. So like here in this example, we have the line extension is the different types of Coke drinks, or drinks that are branded by Coke. Here we just see the sodas. We don't even see the rest of the types of beverages that they have, right? But then in the new brands, or the additional brands that are owned under the parent company of Coke, they have a new brand that they've extended into, which is skincare, which is, health, hygiene, all that kind of thing. So those are the differences. Now, we talked about being ready for these types of extensions. So if you have, say, a tutoring company, maybe your next line would be, or even a brand, really, your next brand extension may be branding off into education consulting. Maybe you focus your tutoring on first and second grade, and now you want to extend into fully education consulting, curriculum creation, things of that nature, instead of just helping children do their homework successfully and understand concepts. So those are some differentiation type of examples there. Does that help you? I think we're good. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? And are there any questions? I don't see any questions in the chat.
Yes, I have a question. This is Curtis Howard.
Oh, sure. Hey, Curtis.
Hi, Ms. Starks. So my question is in the logo, like when you're creating your logo. Now, we've seen with a lot of sports stars, e.g. Tiger Woods, Tom Brady, they're using their initials to create another symbol. And that is becoming very common. And it's common in my field also. I'm an attorney, where the attorney just uses their initials and they stick their initials on some type of symbol, and there you have it. What I'm asking you is, how do you start to think outside of that box as far as creating a recognizable logo as a symbol, like like the Nike swoosh, or the Cadillac symbol? Not, and that's apart from a name, but I'm having trouble coming up with like a creative way to create a symbol, like a shape or a symbol that's recognizable, readable, and it says what my company represents and what we stand for.
There are some ways to do that. You said you're an attorney?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So are you looking to just use a symbol and that's it?
Well, I've looked around at my colleagues, and some of them use the blind justice scales, or maybe an eagle, or the American flag, and all of that stuff is very cliche in general. And then some of them have taken the route like the sports stars with their initials, and they kind of somehow combine their initials to create another shape. that's getting a little played out to me.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking, well, what can I do to create a symbol that's simple, recognizable, and it says lawyer or law firm?
Mhm. Um, I would suggest that you work with, I don't know if you've done this already, but have you worked with any graphic designers that are artists? You know how some graphic designers just do graphic design because they've just learned that in school. But then there are some actual artists out there that can take your concepts and literally like produce art from it. Have you considered something like that?
I did with one guy, and he was an amateur, and it kind of came out the same thing. He just started taking my initials and combining them in funny ways and making shapes out of my initials. And, you know, I ended up settling on that. Right now, my logo is just a blue diamond with my initials in it. But I wanted to get more creative and more um, like recognizable. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when you see that peacock of NBC, you know that's NBC, even if it doesn't say NBC. Like if you see that I from CBS, you know that's CBS. It's like, I don't know if those symbols are so recognizable because they've been around so long. Maybe it's the longevity that I'm referring to and not really the
Mm-hmm.
creativity. But
Yeah, a lot of times that's what it is
yeah,
because at some point the initial stage was creativity, right? They had to have it developed, they had to have it designed and agreed upon, right? And then the consistent, so when we go back to the definition of branding, it talks about consistent identity, the consistent usage of it is
got it.
what builds the brand, right?
Okay.
So although you have uh like you said, a diamond shape or something like that for the symbol, if you consistently use it on everything, your letterheads, I don't know if you do flyers or if you have social media for your services or, your business cards when you're out there networking, if that's the logo you want to stick with. Now, we do have, and you can contact Selena with BSBA, but she does have a graphic designer who's a genius artist, and he typically does something like give me 5 words that represent what you do. And from those words, he can create concept images that represent. So when you say you use a diamond shape, or this person came up with a diamond shape, are you looking for just a unique image, or are you looking for something that says, oh, that person is an attorney? Because if you're looking for to be recognized as an attorney with the image, then it's probably close to what you're already seeing out there, which, is your standard um, things that look like some sort of representation of court, or source or representation of that little balance thing. I forgot what it's called. You probably know. But when you Google like attorney logos or lawyer logos, that is consistently what you'll find. So if you're the attorney who has a different look, who has a different design, who has like more of a diamond feel, somebody may say, hey, what does the diamond represent? Right. And if you're
Okay.
using that consistency and you're consistently having those conversations, or not even the conversation, maybe you're explaining it in your mission on your website. Maybe you're talking about your diamond brand, you know, so share, if you can, share what does the diamond actually represent, or is that just an image to represent, to go along with the name?
Well, it's a blue diamond, and the diamond represents strength, and the color blue is like it's a soft blue. So that represents trust. And I try to use those two things, but it just seems so generic, um, because not too long after I created my logo, I ran across Iron Mountain, which I believe is like a paper company or something. They got the same blue logo. It's like a blue diamond. And I'm like, oh man, here we go. It's the same stuff. And I just wanted to I was wondering, how do these other brands that are so recognizable, how did they get that way? And I think we kind of fleshed it out. It's the consistency and longevity.
Yeah, typically that's what it is. Like you said, the peacock on NBC, they've been using that for like a long time.
Right.
They have adapted the colors, and they've made like 3D versions, and they've kind of adapted it to the new eras as they come, but it's been pretty much the same, right? It's been consistent. The logo has actually been consistent. It's okay to, it's perfectly fine to change our logos, but when we're looking to be recognized by our logo, then we want to have that consistency there, because that's what's going to bring the brand recognition. And that's what's going to bring the brand equity, is somebody being able to say, you know what, I recognize this from somewhere. I recognize these colors from somewhere. You know, I recognize this shape from somewhere. What is it? What exactly does it mean? And then, you know, like you said, if you want people to know even further the breakdown, there's really creative ways to include the representation of strength, the representation of trust, the representation of, you know, some of these other things that the points in the diamond may represent that the average person may not know. There's great ways to, you know, communicate that as well. So, you know, I'd say test it out for a period of time, you know, because if it's not given a testing period, how do we really know that it's not being recognized? You know,
Right.
if we have to give it time sometimes as well. So, so that would really be the key in building that brand, you know, going back to the fundamental definition of branding, which is including the consistency of your identity.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. We have a question in the chat too. It says, as a florist, how do I separate my face from the brand, or should I even do that? I do want to let people know that I'm African-American floral designer, but at the same time, I don't want anyone to be focused on that. I already have a brand and a logo. This is something I've been wrestling over for the last 6 months. My response would be, don't be ashamed of who you are. You know, some people, we can't stop sometimes how people recognize us, right? It goes back to that brand equity. So if they are supporting us just because of who we are and what we look like, that may very well be their choice. But if we want to go to the next level on some of the things that we do, utilizing our platforms for marketing and advertising is a great help, where if you don't want to use your face, you don't put your face on the flyer, right? Or you don't put your face on the image or in the magazine article, or, you know, whatever. You're just going to showcase your work, and then showcase your name and your logo accompanying the name of the business, as well as, you know, the other business information, the address and things like that, where people can find you at. If you're on social media and if you're advertising on your social media page, they will associate you with your business because it's on your page, right? But if you create a page for your business, an actual business page, then it's kind of easier mentally to consider the business versus the person, right? So it goes back to your strategies for marketing. How are you going to market yourself so that your face is not in the actual representation of your products? So when people see your bouquets or your floral arrangements, or somebody calls you, they can say, I saw a picture of your floral arrangements, or I have a friend who referred me because of the beautiful arrangements that you did for them. Then it doesn't really have anything to do with, you know, your background of who you are as a person. Separating that is separating ourselves from our business, also can produce and inspire some growth even. And so keeping those lines of separation there, letting people know, you know, I'm the face of the business, but this is the business, right? And these are our products. And we're excited to give you and bring to you these particular products and this particular look. We can service your weddings or funerals or what have you, right? You want to make sure that people are still focused on the products and what you have to give. And word of mouth goes a long way. Now, again, some people may not ever separate the two, but if you want to separate them, a great way to do it is to start make sure that your marketing and your advertising is focused on the products and services instead of the owner or, you know, founder or whatever. So hopefully that helps as well. Let's see. Della, you said, I would like to comment on that question. Lately, people have been trying to do business with people of their nationality. And that is true. A lot of people have been looking for, people who represent where they come from. They call it, like and kind. And there's been a lot of reasoning for that as well, with what's been happening in the world lately, with a lot of funding and attention going to minority-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses. There is an increased level of support, truly. There are specific groups for that as well. So if you are a part of certain groups on Facebook or a part of, certain like pages, or, you follow certain pages on social media, you can advertise your business surely as being recognized as Black owned, minority owned, whatever it is. Maybe you have a certification in minority owned or something like that. But if you want to separate yourself in a way from the business, then that would be on how you are going to bring it to marketplace. What does it look like? So if everything that I see looks like just you and your picture and a couple of, products that you offer, I naturally will associate you with your business, and I will naturally visually see who you are and what you look like and associate you with that business. If I never see who you are, but I just see these beautiful pictures of your products, or if it's something eye-catching, something that draws me in and pulls me in the marketing and in the advertising strategies, then I may never know who the owner is, right? Or what they look like, but I just know that this is a great product and I really want to purchase it, right? And I'll consistently purchase it as long as the service is good. So people have different choices, in life, and some people choose to go one route or over the other. But if we want to kind of establish ourselves separately than our actual products, there is a way to do that through your marketing and through your branding, or, through your marketing, which will help with your overarching branding of your business. We can brand ourselves personally as business owners, but if we're talking about branding our business, then our focus of our marketing strategies and advertising will be on our business. So hopefully that helps as well. Are there any other questions? Any other questions? Somebody said, I thought once you register with the state and use the name, how can someone steal the brand from you? Or if you haven't gotten your brand or logo copyrighted? So a brand and a name and a copyright and a trademark, those are all different things. A brand is your identity, right? And our identity, sometimes we can look like somebody else and we may be identified as that, right? If something is trademarked or something is copywritten, that's a whole nother thing. If somebody tries to come steal it, that's something that an attorney would address, or somebody else, would need to address. But when you register with the state, you can have your name with the state, but it doesn't mean that that name is available federally, which is where trademarking and things like that come into play. It says, I have a question. What's a good way to prospect for janitorial during COVID-19? One great way that I've seen being advertised is janitorial services are advertising some sort of COVID-19 certification for cleaning. That's not my industry, but this is just what I've seen out there in the marketplace. I have some personal friends of mine who have a janitorial business and have a couple of contracts with state government offices and things of that nature. Their social media, they have been posting, and others have also been posting about having a COVID-19 sanitizing certification. So sometimes that helps people feel better about bringing that company in to clean, because, oh my gosh, they're certified to get these germs and these things, and to come in and disinfect a specific way because of COVID-19 and reduce those harms or what have you. So those are some things that I've seen out there by way of COVID-19. Now, if you're prospecting for new cleaning or new customers, definitely advertising how safe you are and how you're integrating safety into your processes and your procedures. You're wearing masks, you're wearing gloves, you're protecting yourselves and others that you could potentially be exposed to. You will not come if you've been exposed to sick people. You'll have to change the appointment time. Like, people want to know that you have safety protocols in place, as well as, people expect others to create a safe environment for them. So those are some helpful things that when you're advertising, you might want to put, maybe some check marks next to, yes, we have this, yes, we have that, yes, we have a certification in COVID cleaning. We sanitize a specific way with specific products to kill these specific germs that are proven by whoever, CDC or FDC or FDA or whatever they're called. So those are some of the ways that you can integrate some advertising and some marketing for prospecting for janitorial during this time.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. We have also sent out an email, BSBA sent out an email about having your business listed in the directory. If there's anyone on here who would like to have their business listed in the directory for BSBA, this is a great way to advertise your businesses, guys, and to market yourselves. If anybody wants to have their businesses listed in the Black Small Business Directory, definitely send an email to info, and Selena, can you type in the chat, info@bsba-ca.org. We are about 2 minutes over time. Are there any last final questions for tonight? If not, then everyone have a great weekend, and look for us to be back here again on Tuesday of next week. Have a great night, everyone.
You as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you today.
You're welcome.